Hey guys, welcome back to JawnZone. I'm your main guy here, Christopher Jawn, sitting with Andre Kitchens. How you doing, Andre?
Hey man, doing pretty good right now. Except for like weather-wise, it hasn't been pretty good in Philly. I'm saying with all the humidity and then with the temperature being the way it is, just like staying inside. So
Yeah.
but overall it's been good though. I mean, only 45 days till the season starts. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh my God, I'm so excited because training camp's gonna start. Although it is kind of a bummer that we can't really, go to most of these training camps. Isn't there only one available to the public? And
Yeah.
you have to pay money to go to that now too. So not exactly a great thing that they're doing.
Mhm.
Sometimes, we just want to go enjoy our sport. We've already paid to go to a Eagles autism challenge, and then there was like Carson Wentz's like baseball game. There's all these different things to raise money for good causes, don't get me wrong, but at some point maybe we just want to enjoy the sport, not have to pay anything extra to go enjoy things. And it already is a struggle for a lot of fans, and we feel for you if you're not exactly the most well off. In fact, most Eagles fans are probably not in the 1% or even close to the 1%. So affording Eagles tickets can be terrible. If you have a family of, 5 or 6 kids, good luck getting tickets for all of them. So going to the training camp was really something that a lot of people look forward to as an experience to actually see their team in person. Now they add this $10 fee. Who knows if it's $10 for the entire group, or if you're trying to take your 6 kids and then they got 2 friends coming along. Well,
Right.
that's like $80, $90 out of their pockets. I don't know. That's a little too much.
Well,
So
with that, $10. I think he said it's like $10 per person. So
mhm.
uh, it's going to cost like Autism Speaks, which is like pretty prevalent for the Eagles right now. That's who they're definitely like. I'm saying speaking for themselves. I mean, $10. Yeah. I mean, I think it was like definitely a family fanfare, but training camp itself historically has been out of reach as far as like distance for the Eagles fans. I mean, they used to have it up to a few years ago at Lehigh Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved it closer.
Chip Kelly.
Yeah,
Chip Kelly was so damn paranoid about other people videotaping his practices because, spoiler alert, Chip Kelly went to the Patriots training camp and
Yeah.
he was actually teaching them some stuff. And then all of a sudden he's super worried about people videotaping his practices.
Yeah.
Okay. But what were you saying, Andre?
I just want to say that, I mean, I think overall it's a good experience to go there. And then it's really nice to, get to watch those guys be at the link before the season starts. I mean, I kind of like it as a warm up. It's almost as exciting as a preseason.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly how I feel too. Obviously, I'm in Colorado, so not going to be able to make it to that. But actually, the Broncos camp already started. They might – I don't know if it's them. I know they're having a couple of preseason games early. They
Yeah.
usually have the Hall of Fame game early.
Mhm.
So it might be the Broncos that are playing, and that's why they started their training camp early. But, I mean, I consider training camp the official start of the football season.
I
And,
would say.
yeah, a lot of people feel the same way. It's back. And why is that a part of the season? Because, I mean, if you guys remember, Jeremy Maclin in his first training camp with Chip Kelly tore his ACL in one of those training camps. It was either training camp or in the summer, like a practice or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that affected our regular season. So you can't say that training camp doesn't matter at all. Plus, who knows if one of these cornerbacks or safeties, a player just comes out and becomes a star, and that's where it happened usually. Sometimes there's players that get thrown into the fire and they become great, but other times training camp battles are all the rage and just fun. It feels like fun.
And then especially this year because recently teams have been starting to do training camps and in practices with other teams. Of course they don't do the training camps with practices with rivals within the same division. But if teams are geographically close, but not in the same division, they usually do training camps with them. Because for the past couple of years, the Eagles have been doing training camps with the Patriots, actually.
Yeah, that was with Chip Kelly.
Yeah, with Chip Kelly. But I think we did a few last year with also the Jets and Patriots preseason for joint practices together.
Yeah, actually, instead of the Patriots, I think it might have been the Ravens.
The Ravens.
Yeah, because I remember it was like a defensive thing, like a show how we defensively were kind of standing up and taking, the Ravens, who have been historically good on defense, and basically giving the same performance. At the same time, they had Joe Flacco and a terrible offense, so who knows what the real cause of that was. But actually, I just looked it up, and the first preseason game is on the 1st of August.
The 1st of August.
How many days are in June again, or July? Is it 30 or 31?
So, 31 days in July. So the 1st of August is actually next Thursday.
Yeah, so the first preseason game, everybody, next Thursday. It's going to be Broncos versus Falcons, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Now, I don't know what it's going to be televised on. Usually it's the NFL Network, but honestly, I'm going to watch that. I don't care if it's preseason and nobody's really playing. I'll probably have it on my side screen and have a video game on and just hearing the soothing sounds of hut, hut, hike, and all these other football terms being thrown around. It's just a beautiful thing. Although, as many of you probably noticed, it makes a big difference who's announcing these games. Nobody was really impressed with the announcers from, the Super Bowl that we won. It took them a little while to register that the game was even over. I remember after they threw the final pass and it hit the ground, I was standing there with my friend, and we were just waiting, say something. Is it over? Is there a flag on the field? Why hasn't he said something? And then, after it seemed like an eternity, Al Michaels is and the game is over. And then, a couple of minutes later, he's and Eagles fans, you can start celebrating right now. It's seriously, dude, you're clearly were not happy at the result. And that's just we won our first Super Bowl. You'd rather see the Patriots win 6 or 7, my dude? Yeah. Sorry. Not good.
Well, then, you also had Chris Collinsworth in the Super Bowl.
Oh, I hate that guy. He's I know people do hate Troy Aikman and Joe Buck, and they are god-awful. I'm not going to defend them at all. I hate them too. But Chris Collinsworth is just on another level of sleaziness. The guy sounds like that guy who's standing on the corner trying to rip you off. Oh, yeah, well, you really should get this. And, you shouldn't buy that. Let me tell you about a real good deal instead, my friend. Trying to act like he's your buddy when I don't know you, dude. You're just some weirdo who used to like dating high school girls. So, he actually admitted that. But, so we're talking about training camp, and someone who's not new but definitely is a surprise is Darren Sproles. We brought him back. I think it's a 1-year deal. Anything longer would just be odd. But what's your opinion on that, Andre?
Well, I guess what I would say about Darren Sproles is that at least for what he's done in the past, to his credibility, it's really nice to have Darren Sproles back. At least because we see what he could do in the past. But at the age of 36, I think that we're just giving more to his credibility uh, rather than what he has left in the tank. And honestly, I just don't think that he has much left in the tank. I think that, we have other running backs that could definitely fill that void, or we have other running backs that we need to focus on developing other than Darren Sproles. I mean, we have Howard, Sanders, and Clement. I think that should be our three-headed monster going into the season. Mm-hmm. And I think that, all those guys in combination, they have, the ability to, get us a great running game. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we necessarily need a Darren Sproles.
I actually completely agree with you. And looking on Reddit, our opinion is not a popular one for the reason that a lot of fans don't really know much about sports. It's because they like the guy. Now, exactly. we want to say we love Darren Sproles. We love what he's done, not just for our team, but being one of the most exciting players in the league. The guy was an underutilized, undervalued player for a majority of his career and ended up in one of the highest yardage totals of all time. And, I still remember when he was on, I think it was the Chargers, and they just tore apart the Colts. I think he had 200 yards on the ground, and Peyton Manning was just super pissed off because they should have won that year or something like that. But I think that was actually the year in 2008 or 2010. I don't remember too, but it was in between his two Super Bowl runs. But Darren Sproles, great guy, but he's past his prime. He's been injured the past 2 years. People don't realize, he missed 2 years ago the Super Bowl run because he was injured. And then he missed last year. He wasn't even still with the same injury. He was just dealing with a hamstring injury all year. That's really not a good sign when you're a running back and you only play 2 or 4 games out of the season because of lingering hamstring injuries. So I really don't know why we signed him, honestly. And having someone like him on the team, like you said, it would just take away from valuable time, especially in the younger running backs' careers. That's when you need to use them more. You need to use them before they get too old and worn out. They need to learn things on the go. I remember when we drafted LaShawn McCoy, he was in there in the first game, and there was actually a learning experience. He was down by contact, but he still fumbled the ball after he was down. And I saw Brian Westbrook get up in his face and tell him hey, don't drop the ball, even though it didn't end up being a turnover. That's the experiences that our running backs need to have. I know we're trying to win it all, but look what happened when we threw Corey Clement in the Super Bowl. It worked. So, let's talk about our next point, actually.
Because it's one other thing I wanted to add was
what was that?
Yeah, well, I think that the reason why a lot of people they like the idea of Sproles coming back because you have a good number of people when they look at the NFL and look at football, what they see, they look at it as a TV show. I say in a TV show, Game of Thrones, you're not looking at how many kills this guy have, what's his how fast he can run or something like that. You're just looking at the character. Yeah. And it's not a TV show. It's a sport. And sports, this is a young man's game. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, a lot of people need to realize when, you bring a 36-year-old running back to the game, is that you're not going to get the most value out of your team when you do that. And that's why I believe.
Well, that's actually a great point. I totally agree because if you look at it, there's no reason, even having 53-man roster, you can't afford to lose any of these spots on the Super Bowl run. We are so deep at other positions that we can't afford to throw a spot at somebody. And a lot of the common thought and sentiment is, he missed the Super Bowl run for us, and I just want him and Jason Peters to end up with a ring, whether they played in the game. That's not how football works. We need to win games. We can't just be trying to win people rings. You know, now Deshaun Jackson is a completely different story because he brings something to the table. You know, Corey Clement is pretty much as good as, or if not better than Darren Sproles is at this point in his career. So, nothing against Darren Sproles' prime, but we're talking about the guy right now. Sure, I feel bad that he didn't win a Super Bowl ring while playing, but does that mean we got to sacrifice our roster for the future just to try to get him something? Not really.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the next point, I mean, did you want to talk about more about training camp, or we could alternatively talk about our opinions on Doug Peterson?
Because I think that with Doug Peterson, I think that's more interesting stuff because, before Doug Peterson, right, we were always talking about the jinx. Mm-hmm. Hey man, Eagles going to win a Super Bowl. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. And it's the jinx. Now with our recent success, I think that's become more objective. It's more of a defense mechanism, if anything. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people are just afraid to really set their expectations high. But I think that with Doug Peterson and the way he calls the game and the way he directs personnel, I think that, we can always shoot for high. Because like you said earlier, we won the Super Bowl with that quarterback and, almost half of our offensive line injured. Yeah. And then even last year when the secondary was going down and our quarterback went down again, we almost did it again. Mm-hmm. So I'm just not going for the jinx. I'm not afraid to set my expectations high anymore with this team and with this coach. Yep.
And a lot of this is coming from, I completely agree. It's coming from a little bit of a response to what we saw on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, how people seem to be afraid to talk about our chances of winning the Super Bowl and how good our roster is. Yeah. Like in last episode, how we detailed how we think this is the best roster in Eagles history. But, they're afraid to say that. They're afraid to say, oh, we might win. I've seen some people say, no, our team is terrible this year. Don't jinx us and things like that. It's over. We won already. Those kind of sentiments and things, they don't hold weight anymore. People were afraid to get their hopes up because forever we had just been dashed. But now that we won the Super Bowl, we know what that's like. We can't just shoot for low and try to underdog our way in. We're not underdogs anymore. Nobody's looking at the Eagles and saying, oh, well, they got lucky and I don't think they're going to be that good this year. People are legitimately afraid of us. And you can even hear that. I remember one of the Brian Baldinger was on the radio and an angry-ass Cowboys fan came on. And he was just talking so much shit. He was saying, Baldy, you're an idiot. And, all Eagles fans are morons. And you're going to, have to worry about the Cowboys this year and stuff. And you're afraid, dude. You're straight up afraid of us. If we sucked, you would not be calling our radio station. But think about that. Nobody's calling the Foreskins and the Giants. No one's calling the New York media and saying, oh, I'm an Eagles fan. You guys suck. I'm really worried about you, though. That's not what happened. Nobody even cares about the Giants.
Yeah, because, honestly, man, if you want to relate to the rap game, it's popular to say, look, if you don't have any haters, then you're not doing good.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. If we were the motherfucking New York Jets, nobody would say anything about that. Nobody would make an inference or anything. But it's when an animal feels threatened or when people feel threatened, that's when they feel like they need to lash out. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that's what's happening right now. Uh-huh. And then that on our side, what we need to do is that we need to stop being Greek in Game of Thrones,
Yeah, exactly. At least the Reek that hadn't turned back into Theon yet. Yeah. Because, not to spoil anything, I think he was the only character with a story arc in the last season. Yeah. He had a better ending than most, but we don't want anybody to be afraid to be brash. Like, we've waited our whole lives to be champions.
Yeah.
We're champions now. Let's remind people. And look at what happened in the Super Bowl. We didn't just, like, score a couple of field goals like the Rams. We took it to them. And that's actually something that, talking about Doug Peterson, gives us so much excitement because he is, like, a really good coach. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, after his first season, I was not convinced. I admit that. There's a lot of people that I was not convinced about too, like Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
There's people I would gladly say, hey, like, I got it wrong. I'm glad to be wrong. I wanted to be wrong about all these people. And it's so great now. But, like, Doug Peterson's assertiveness is just it's on another level in terms of, like, a lot of the problems people have when they're playing the Patriots is they're usually going up against home field advantage. They're usually going up against the refs who seem to call things in the favor of the Patriots every single time. Like, it's ridiculous. And there's no point of arguing that with a Patriots fan. They're not going to see it. They're so brainwashed, and they're so happy with their own success. They just think they're trying to spoil it for them.
I think they're privileged, man. I think that, like, you know, when you're privileged, really, because, like, it is a privilege to have that type of success that your team has, you know. Whereas, like, you've been, you know, pretty much nearly half the Super Bowls for the last decade, and then you won what, five of them. You know, so 6. But, like, I think that it comes to a certain point where you become so privileged where you start to ignore things that are to your benefit because you take it for granted.
Well, we got to keep in mind that, like, Boston is a sports town, but they're not a football town. What do I mean by that? Philadelphia is a football town. We put the Eagles above everything. Like, it's on another level. That's kind of how it is with the Boston Red Sox. I think the Celtics aren't as, you know, popular as the Red Sox, but, like, yeah, people just in the town, they don't put football as high a priority of being happy as other things. I even ran to a Boston sports fan, this person who's living in my apartment building, and she was complaining, like, oh, the Boston Bruins, our hockey team, we didn't win the finals this year. It's like, I told her, like, hey, like, you won the Super Bowl. Like, what are you complaining about? And she's like, yeah, that's right. We won the Super Bowl. It's like, Jesus Christ. And you got to keep in mind, most of these Patriots fans didn't exist until they won their first Super Bowl. That was not like a Patriots town. And all these fans just bandwagoned on. They don't even know too much about football. Most of them don't watch football until the playoffs start because they know their team is going to get home field advantage. So, like, they don't really know as much as an average Philadelphian when it comes to football. Now, baseball or, like, basketball, that's another story. But, like, once Tom Brady and Bill Belichick ends, like, and once things kind of reset back to normal or somewhat normal, if another team starts winning a ton of titles, most of these Patriots fans they're going to disappear. They're not going to even be going to the games. Like, watch them have 2 losing seasons in a row, and they're not going to have fans anymore. That's it. Like, they're just going to go to their other sports and jump back on that bandwagon. But, like, they really don't know football. So, I mean, Doug Peterson, glad we have him. And even though we have Jeffrey Lurie as an owner from that area, he does seem to really love football. So hopefully that works out. And hopefully we win another title this year. I think our team is better than the Patriots. And that's all I'm really concerned about. Like, I mean, I'm not really convinced any other team is going to beat them, mostly because of the refs, the home field advantage. And there's just, like, mediocre coaches and mediocre quarterbacks riddled in the AFC. So do I think any of those teams are going to beat them? Probably not. But if we face them, we'll beat them.
Yeah, because, like, I think the Chargers, like, if any team out of the AFC has a chance, I think that it'll be between the Chargers and the Chiefs. I mean, because, like, Patrick Mahomes Obviously, I mean, I don't know if it was just that, it's that first year of Magic, whereas like a lot of the physical coordinators have caught up to what he's doing yet. But like, I mean, from what I see in his consistency, I mean, things seem to be going like pretty well for him. But then again, it's Andy Reid team. It's just that he can never get over the hump.
Yeah. Well, first I'll dismiss the Chargers. Tom Brady has never lost to Phillip Rivers. Never. They played each other 9 times.
Yeah.
They've never won against the Patriots. I don't know why people are so convinced like every single year, oh, this is the Chargers' year. They look really good. And one of 2 things happens. One, they'll have like a great beginning of the season, and then they'll fall off and won't even make the playoffs, or they'll make the playoffs and get just demolished. Like, look at the game last year when they played the Patriots in the playoffs. It wasn't even close. They got destroyed. It was like, what happened? You were supposed to have a good defense. You're supposed to have a good offense. Neither of those things even remotely showed up. So the Chargers aren't going to do shit. Now the Chiefs, on the other hand, you got to keep in mind, this isn't really common knowledge, but Patrick Mahomes, as a rookie, was not given permission to change the plays like on the field. So whatever was called was what was being called into the huddle, and there was no adjustments or anything like that. Even with that, he was through for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. That's not something that really happens to any just average quarterback. So He's still going to be great. If you see a lot of his skill, it's like no-look passes or like sidearm passes, weird passes. Like you can't really coach that, and that's just going to continue. Probably won't have 50 touchdowns again, but like it's hard to train against a guy who can just run it as well. So like, do I think they're going to beat the Patriots? Well, I don't know, because like you said, Andy Reid's potentiality for losing big games just seems to happen. And I mean, the refs are always there. So like Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense, I think they're going to do good, but like they also retooled their defense completely. Like none of their defensive starters are the same.
Yeah, because like, I mean, they got rid of Eric Berry at one point. I mean, they got rid of a few pieces. I mean, so I think Dontari Poe, he went last year.
Mm-hmm. D Ford is gone. Who was the guy on the other side? Not Tamba Hali, because he's been gone for a while. But he was like their number 1 pass rusher.
Justin Houston?
Yeah, Houston's gone.
Yeah, Houston's gone.
Yeah. So, like, it's really hard when you completely retool the defense like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's pretty good topics right there. So, do you have anything more to add about the Eagles, Andre?
I mean, I guess what I would add about the Eagles is that, yes, this is a complete stacked roster. And I think that, we're strong and we have depth in pretty much like every position on both the offense and defense. I mean, the cornerbacks are a little bit questionable. But really, I think that this year really depends on Carson Wentz's health. I think that if you wanted to see a weak link in the chain, that is the health of Carson Wentz, And because with his injury history, and then on top of that, we no longer have Nick Foles to really come in. I don't know how, playing Dorson or Nate Sudfeld will actually do in this offense because we haven't seen them extensively. But like I said, I mean, I think that our only weakness is just protecting Carson Wentz to make sure he's healthy. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to have an MVP year, He doesn't need to put up big numbers. I mean, but all he doesn't need to be great for his team. I think that we have great players around him. But I think that if he could show that, 1, he can stay healthy, and 2, he stay consistent, like he has been, I think that we definitely go far and make a far reach into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And I think he will be because he's so driven. So, like, he hated that whole article that came out trashing his character or his desire to win. Some of it fair, some of it not fair, but we don't really know what's going on. And then also, like, living in the shadow of Nick Foles, like, and you only hear good things in the off seasons about him, like, training this offseason and like demolishing the playbook and trying to be on top of everybody, like getting involved and stuff. So I think this is actually going to be a pretty big year for him. So he's definitely training. I don't think he likes the fact that some of the polls on different news websites or like electronic sports network websites, things like that, that are not even listing him in the top 10 quarterbacks. Like, guy had an MVP, the MVP season 2 years ago, people just forget about it. So he's pretty pissed.
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment.
Also, think about this.
I don't think because of the skill.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because like I don't think it speaks to his skill, but I think it's a fair assessment.
No, it is.
Of the time that he missed.
Yeah, it definitely is a fair assessment, but he's definitely going to use that as fuel. Not to mention, I don't think he's the type of guy who hears Dak Prescott basically saying, I deserve more money than Carson Wentz. And that generally means that he thinks he's a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. I don't think he likes Dak Prescott saying he's better. So why would you? The guy is supposed to be your rival. He's on an opposing team. So you got to, as a competitor, think of anything that you could use as motivation to demolish the other team. Like, hell, why do you think on this channel we say foreskins, cowgirls?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't mention the Giants because it's just that bad. But like, why do you think we say that? It's not to, like, try to bring anything outside of football arguments in there. Although, I mean, like, there's no reason why a racial slur should be a football name. But at the same time, like, these are our enemies, guys. Like, this is how we talk to them. Has anyone really been treated all too good by a Foreskins fan or a Cowgirls fan or even a Steelers fan, something like that? Patriots fan? Vikings fan? Do you remember what the Vikings did to our Rocky statue? Like, Jesus, like, you got to keep in mind, like, these guys, no matter what we do also, are going to complain about us. We have that reputation of being a terrible, like, nasty-ass city, and, I mean, it's partially true. But, like, at the same time, like, the Minnesota Vikings fans trashed our Rocky statue and then complained that we didn't treat them okay when they got their asses whooped.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I think that, like, the fan base is, like, softened up a little bit. And I'll be honest with that because, like, with with the tickets becoming way more and more expensive, on top of that, you have a lot of transplants moving in who are just like, oh, yeah, they want to post, like, Instagram posts and things like that with Eagle shit on it.
Oh, yeah.
The hardcore fans becoming the dying breed.
Mm-hmm. Well, whatever. That's something that we both kind of asked for. We begged the football gods to bring us a championship at any cost. Any cost. That means a ton of bandwagon fans blowing vuvuzelas and asking for refs to bring out a red card. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really care if they don't even know what sport it is. And also, I've noticed, like, across the world, whenever a team wins a championship, it just you start to see their logo in other places. So, like, I'm pretty sure China, Japan, South America, Africa, like, Europe, people are starting to rep Eagles gear. Eagles gear is pretty sick, man.
You got a point there. So, like I told you earlier, man, I'll be in Madrid for the next podcast.
Oh, yeah, so definitely.
I'm there. I'm actually going to see if I can find Eagles fans and, like, maybe take a picture with them because, like, I'll also bring my Eagles jersey and wear it. And I'll see, like, there are any international fans that the Eagles have. And then I'll just, like, post it or I just, like, show pictures on the podcast when you do that.
Well, actually, I was even thinking during our podcast, we can have, like, a little bit of a slideshow showing that while we're talking over it. So, like, people can get in. Also, we're still on the fact that if anybody wants to have a fantasy football championship or even a Madden championship that you'd like to invite myself or Andre to come host or something, more than happy to do that for you guys. Yeah. So as long as you're not going to, do any blood sacrifice rituals with our organs. So, like, yeah. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about the Sixers. So the Sixers, there actually isn't too much going on. There's a little bit of news. We already mentioned Ben Simmons withdrew from the FIBA World Cup, and now Tobias Harris is also withdrawing his name. Why he was selected to play for the World Cup, I don't know. He wasn't an all-star, and there's a lot of better players than Tobias Harris, so whatever.
I mean, because like I think that what happened was that, because like the USA, I mean, obviously we dominate basketball so much. Top players, like, they take that for granted. Like, the World Cup is just extra work for them. But like, you already have endorsements. You're prepared for a new season. You're trying to rest up, and you're trying to do everything before that. So I think that there's really nothing for our players to prove anymore. So, like, during the off season, you want to spend time with your family, you want to spend time training, and you would rather not just, like, go into a tournament that essentially will be meaningless before the season starts.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. So, also, on top of that, it seems like a lot of NBA players around the league are withdrawing to focus in on a pursuit of a world title. So this is something that me and Andre talked about a little bit before, but it almost feels like the year or the Okay, so Michael Jordan retired twice.
Yeah.
Or no, he retired 3 times because he retired after he came back for the Wizards.
Yeah.
So the first 2 times Michael Jordan retired, the entire league opened their eyes and were like, oh, shit, we have a chance now. So it's kind of how I feel the things have happened in our league now. Like, look at even the Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. There's really just 2 stars there. It's almost like NBA Jam took over. Like, actually, that would be a great franchise to bring back right now because there's so many double, stars on teams. We got Embiid and Simmons. I don't know if you want to include Tobias Harris in there or not, but, like, KD and Kyrie and then LeBron and AD, like, just go around the league. There's so many double trouble teams that focus their team around 2-star players instead of the Warriors, which kind of have monopoly on going to the finals with 5 or 6 all-stars. Yeah, like.
So do you think do you think the Big Three era is over? I say, like, whereas, like, teams recently have been going for, like, the Big 3 stars. Do you think that era is over?
No. So I think that it is on hiatus for a 1 or 2 year period, but I think eventually people are going to start getting fed up with the fact that, oh, we're losing 2-on-2 basically. We need a third guy. Or teams like the Lakers. The Lakers were trying to bring in Kawhi Leonard, So I've already predicted something I don't want to happen. Ben Simmons might leave us in a year or 2 because there's no loyalty in the league anymore both ways. And the players can just say, I'm not going to play. I want to be traded. What are you going to do about it? And the team is kind of forced to just oblige them. So, honestly, I feel like Ben Simmons might be leaving. I don't want that to happen. But if he were to do that, he'd be basically going to join a Big Three. I don't know if LeBron James would still be there, but, the Lakers would try to get another teammate for them. Plus, you got to keep in mind there's other teams that struck out, like the Knicks, who still have the, capability and desire to try to sign a Big Three, even if that Big Three is like pseudo all-star players like D'Angelo Russell, 3 D'Angelo Russells or some shit. Not exactly like a great team, but in their mind, that's the Big Three. So, no, I don't think the Big Three era is over. It's on hiatus for a year or 2. What about you?
I mean, because I think that it might become to an end. I think that, in every sport, there's a lot of trends. I mean, a lot of trends like offense and defense. Like, for instance, with Phil Jackson, he had trimmed the triangle offense that other teams were really trying to make an iteration of, but they couldn't do it successfully. So what happened there was that, eventually coaching was like de-emphasized in the NBA. But I think the reason why the big three is coming to an end because like you're seeing these demonstrations of people or teams that don't need that who are being successful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not as consistently successful, but I think that it's not consistently successful because like a lot of teams haven't copied that format. They've gone with the more marketable format.
Yeah.
And
yeah, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, and I think I'll state that the big three is coming to an end because when you look at like teams that have formed the big three, they haven't been dynasties, man. I mean, like for instance, Warriors did it, but like other teams, like they were like pretty much like a one and done or two and done, and they didn't win again. So I think if you're looking for long-term success, I mean, depth is where you have to go for that.
Yeah.
And I think eventually, the pendulum will swing towards having more depth and better coaching rather than having a big three and also three-pointers.
Yeah, you're actually touching on something I would like to kind of point out. And now that I think about it, I'm leaning towards more that the big three era might be on its way out. First of all, look at the Warriors. They weren't a big three. They were a big four or a big five.
Big five, yeah.
Yeah, same thing with even our Sixers this year. We tried to put together a big four. But the thing is you can't rely on a big three because it's too much of an investment if one of those pieces isn't worth it. Look at Kevin Love. Look at Chris Bosh. Look at there's other examples, but like big threes has too much financial commitment that you can't fill out the rest of your roster. So like if you are throwing so much money at a Kevin Love and then he doesn't want to know what to do when he's not the number one option, that's like two or three bench players or role players that actually can do things or get open, things like that, defensively play better, that you're just wasting your resources on. So, look at the financial cap. That whole Warriors year came from a fluke year when the salary cap skyrocketed, but more teams are often not going to have to go into the luxury tax to get three max players. So, it's just not feasible or sustainable, as Andre was saying.
Yeah, because, like, the way I see the big three, man, I see the big three as, like, that guy in gym who's top-heavy.
Yeah.
I say arms, chest, everything, like upsides, like top-heavy. But then again, like, you look at his legs, and they're just skinny and scrawny. It's like, okay, bro, you had the power, to maybe lift weights and all that, and maybe take someone out. But if someone's smart enough to leg sweep you, what do you do then?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much like the big three, is that you had to win decisively, and, you can't win, like, long-term because you're so top-heavy and your depth is reduced.
Yep. Plus, I even forgot, kind of like piggybacking on what you were talking about, let's say one of your big three players gets injured. Then what are you going to do? Your whole year, like you spend a lot of money on that guy. You can't go out and find people to replace him that year with. So like looking at when Kevin Love got injured and Kyrie actually got injured like a couple of times during the Cavs like finals runs. So in the finals, that team was crap. And then, even Kyrie forced his way out of it. Oh, I even just realized something. If you think about most of these teams, which one of these big three teams, even going back to the Celtics, are on like great terms with each other still?
Nah, not many.
Not many. Like if you think about it, like Ray Allen had to make the choice to leave. And when he did that to go get more titles, his teammates were like, oh, you're a traitor, even though they traded for him in the first place. He was a Buck. He wasn't a Celtic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with KG. KG was a Timberwolf. He wasn't a Celtic. So there's no, like, why does they get so mad at Ray Allen for, leaving when he wasn't an original Celtic to begin with? Now, get mad that he got catfished, something like that. That's a reason to get mad at somebody.
Yeah,
but
I think because, I think what they discount with putting these teams together, big threes together, is that they discount team chemistry.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so like these guys, you're taking basically like the alpha dog from every single team, or well, from every team they're coming from, and like you're saying, look, like I say, because like they're going to be one like point guard or one captain, right? And so if you do that, you're relegating these guys to lesser roles than they're used to. So I mean, we can talk about money and all that. I mean, money does make up a significant portion of decisions, but you also got to think that these guys have ego about them.
Yep.
And like there's a way in hell that, okay, dude, you were the number one dude on the Timberwolves, all right?
Yep.
Now you the 4 or the 5. Now I'm saying because of your position and because of your age at that point. And it's like you can't really discount that. I mean, these guys need to also feel that, hey man, I'm contributing at the same level, or I'm still, I can still be the man. And then that's when ego comes into play. So you can't really discount that when you're putting the so-called big three together.
Yeah, and there's so many other things that go with what we were just talking about too, like the fact that after a game on the Timberwolves, or what was it, Bucks, Ray Allen, Kevin Love, even Chris Bosh, they would have a microphone put in their face. They were the guy that would answer the questions, oh, our team was doing good, this is what we have to do. Like that, mentally, they miss that. You know what I mean? They get jealous of each other. Now LeBron is taking the center stage. Oh, now KD is taking the center stage. I used to be the man. Hey, and also there's something called volume players. Now, if you talk about football, a volume player is most commonly one of those bruiser running backs. The more you use him, the more the other team is bruised up and the more energized your running back is to take a beating. So in the same thing in basketball, when some of these players aren't getting the volume of ball shots that they're used to, they can't find a rhythm. I guess another term would be rhythm players. Like look at Kobe. If Kobe was not the number one option on his team, he probably would not know what to do, honestly. That's not a slight on Kobe. You need alpha dogs. Now, you need at least one alpha dog on your team. There are great teams that have just been team chemistry and all that. But at the end of the day, you still need an alpha dog. But having too many alpha dogs causes a problem. You know what I mean? So if you look at every single one of those teams, even the Thunder, James Harden didn't want to be coming off the bench. He didn't want to be getting a lower contract. He left.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Exactly. Now also look at the Cavs. Kyrie couldn't handle being the number 2 option after being the number 1, requested a trade, even if he realized that, the grass isn't greener. And then look at the Warriors, how everyone was blowing up on KD. These things happen. So the Big Three era is just not sustainable. If you think about it, everything that we mentioned is just a problem. So looking at some of these egos, playing with a Kawhi Leonard, I mean, there's not many people as mentally passive as Kawhi Leonard. If one of these big dogs comes from a team where everyone's catering around them, they're used to being able to say rude shit, whatever they want to, you know, and everyone would just have to be yeah, you're right, and then the coaches probably go up, hey, don't upset the big guy, and he's going to win us games, so we just had to go along with him. Now, you take KD and throw him on a team with 4 other all-stars, and they're like, who the hell are you, dude? No, whoa, why is the camera in his face? He's a snake. He's a loser. We won without him. So, totally different dynamics. And the more I talk about it, although you got to keep in mind some of these owners and some of these coaches aren't as smart as us. They don't see these flaws. And hell, look at the Phoenix Suns. They don't give a crap about chemistry or anything. They just want to put people in the seats. So, teams like the Phoenix Suns could definitely pull together a big three without any intention of winning a championship, as weird as that sounds.
Well, I mean, because the way I think about it, according to what you said, I mean, Kawhi Leonard, I think that like the more synergistic team will win. Whereas like you don't have these people trying to like just like step over each other and be another one person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it all works out because I mean, look at the Spurs, look at Tim Duncan and Tony Parker. I think out of every team, at least in recent memory, like they had the most success because like they weren't trying. There wasn't a person trying to like, basically just be the number one dude. Like they were just all working together synergistically, and they didn't need to bring in like other players from other teams or all stars from other teams to continue their success because they already had that, and it was similar to how the Warriors started out with Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because, like, those are the teams that will consistently win.
Mm-hmm.
You will have big three teams who will come together for a little while, and they'll have that short-term success, and then that's it.
Plus,
but the teams that consistently win are teams that will be, synergistic, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not to mention, like, the Warriors got really lucky in who turned out being good. Now, if they had players that weren't sharpshooters, if they had three great Draymond Greens, would they have won a title? Probably not. You also have to be lucky in the type of players that you get. So when people were on the Heat looking at Chris Bosh and they thought he was a good fit, he wasn't a good fit. When they were looking at Kevin Love on the Cavs and they thought he'd be a good fit, he was not a good fit. Mm-hmm. Some players just do not mesh well. I mean, anyone plays with Russell Westbrook will tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right. So did you have any other points you wanted to make or any other Sixers topics, NBA topics, Andre?
Well, I mean, so right now, man, I think that, we covered a lot of points in this episode and then also the last couple episodes. Really, on the sports scene, it's like a little dry right now. So, but we've been able to like really keep the conversation flowing.
Yeah.
I think
we've had some great topics today. We didn't even plan on talking about the end of the three-peat team era or anything like that, but it just came out. So good on Dre. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man.
Right. Oh yeah. What were you saying?
So I guess like right now, like we should give a shout out to our sponsors, man. Or the ones that we don't have, bro.
Yeah.
And so
shout out actually. I'd like to take it first this time. I'd like to shout out to Chinese food. So Chinese food is just fantastic, and honestly, I don't know what I'd be able to do without it. Something that a lot of people with food allergies can still ask them. So being gluten intolerant, you might not realize that soy sauce is full of gluten, full of bread and shit like that. But if you ask them to make it without it or ask them to use a different type of sauce that doesn't have gluten, you can get it like that. So Chinese food is fantastic. Pork fried rice is one of my favorites. Obviously, beef and broccoli is amazing. General Tso's chicken. I can just go on forever. So thank you, Chinese food.
Thank you, Chinese food. Got you. Yeah, I love Chinese food, man. Everywhere I've been to, I have always gotten Chinese food, whether it's a different city or a different country. Mm-hmm. Always Chinese food. Yeah. And I'll probably put that on a podcast next week for Chinese food in Spain. Yep. One thing I wanted to get a shout out to is Zimbabwe currency. So this right here is a $100 trillion bill from Zimbabwe. It is actually an authentic bill. So, look, if you think you're poor or you think you're down your luck, you can buy this $100 trillion bill for about, maybe $2 US on eBay.
Shit.
Yeah, $2 US. So, hey, you can always be a trillionaire. Zimbabwe currency.
No, we are trillionaires in Zimbabwe currency.
Yeah, yes.
So, wait a minute. Hold on. This is breaking news. Where is Zimbabwe? Is there anything in Zimbabwe that is, poisonous or dangerous? Do they have a lot of natural disasters?
Well, they have a lot of agriculture in Zimbabwe. But the thing about it, though, is that the president Mugabe, he figured, hey, man, if we print more money, we'll have more money. I was like, I don't think that's how economics work, Mugabe.
No.
So pretty much it just started printing money until it got absurd. And the fact that this is real currency is absurd, but it's also funny. I mean, I just like the idea that, yes, I am a Zimbabwean trillionaire. I am more successful in Zimbabwe than anyone in history of this world. I guarantee it. Trump hands. Yeah, but like, yeah, man, it's just, it was a catastrophe. I mean, I'm not sure how the currency market is doing right now, but, you know, to have this as legit currency has been, you know, the most pleasure to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, we had a great episode today. We'd like to thank you guys for stopping by. And, I mean, we'd love to continue this. And please like, subscribe, join our Facebook group. And we hope to see you guys in the future. Thanks for stopping by.